Hello everyone. So today what I'll be doing it's just going to be some sort of a follow up of what I did on the previous recording. So today I'll be doing I'll be basically just configuring Postgres authentication using Ldap, and in this case it's going to be Windows Ldap. But the issue here is that our Ubuntu server will have to authenticate to the Windows server. So in this case, we're going to see how that will work in order to get access into Postgres. So just to show you around first, this is going to be, I actually have three servers. So the diagram is going to be something like this. Let me just show you right here very fast. So the diagram here is just going to be something like this. So I'm going to have, this is going to be my Postgres server. I'll have Postgres running here. And this one is going to be my Active Directory. And I'm going to have a client here. Right? This is going to be a client. So before this client need access to this box, and this one is going to be running Ubuntu, right? This one running Ubuntu, and this one also will be running Ubuntu. Okay, so my Postgres will be running on Ubuntu, and then this is Windows. So my Active Directory here instead is on Windows. So before this client have access here, it would need to get the credentials from here and then authenticate here. So, but then um, this is going to be this is going to use Kerberos and with an encrypted connection. We're going to look into that, but this is how my layout will look like. So let's jump in and let me show you what I'm saying here. Okay, so this is my Postgres server here. So if I log into this box, so this is the box where I am in here. So if you see here, um, my Postgres is up and running, and that's that. And you could see here that this is on port 10 um IP address now 192.168.0.103, and my client. Let me log into my client here. So here you see that my client here is running on 187, right? And actually what I've done is I have included both servers. And let me just log into Windows first to show you. Okay, so this is my Windows server here. So if you look at Windows IF config, so you see my Windows is on 169, right? Okay, and you could see that I did added all the servers here. So this is my Windows, which is 169. I put it Ldap Windows, and my Ubuntu client, which is this one, and my Postgres. My Postgres is 103. This was an earlier one which I did in previous video, but I'm not going to use this. Okay, I'm not going to use that server. So I'm just going to use these three servers. All right. Okay, that said, let's roll. So first things first. The first thing is I have a Windows server here. And again, Active Directory on Windows is a huge something to learn. You might definitely have an administrator who manages Active Directory. Okay. Um, but again, this is not really a cause to show Active Directory because Active Directory is really um, it's really huge. So first, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to, and you can see my domain here. Right? see everything that's there. So and these are the users here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to create a user, right? I'm going to create a user in Active Directory, right? And what I'm going to do here is that I will make this user to be an admin user. Let me see, where's the admin user here? I did created a couple. Okay, I have administrator here. So let me just make a copy and then let me create a user. And I'm gonna call this, I'm gonna call it Benson Postgres. Right? I'm gonna call it Benson Postgres. So, and then I'm gonna put the same name here, Benson Postgres. This is gonna be my RAM. And next, just say let the password not expire. So I'm going to specify a password here and then specify another password here. Sometimes the password needs to be according to Windows, make sure you included, specify the necessary, um, certify the credentials, whatever. So I'm just going to say yes. So it has created that user. So if I right click on this user and I take properties, if I go to account, you will see that I have Windows. This is my logon name if I want to log on, and then this is where the RAM is and everything. So there are other options here which you can add, you can use and all of that, which is still fine. Okay, so with that said, we have the user in Active Directory now. So the next thing we need to do here is with that we need to extract a file called the key tab file. So we're going to open up PowerShell. I'm going to open it as the administrator. PowerShell open here. I'm going to be running some commands to generate the key tab file. And then I'll not go too deep into all the service principles and all those stuff here. This video is just keeping it simple and short. But if you want to get more information about Active Directory, it's good to read that. So with that said, my server where I have Postgres, right? The server I have Postgres, it's as we all saw already, the server, oops. So the server I have Postgres running is called Ldap Postgres, ldap-postgres.hub2.org, right? So keep that in mind, ldap-postgres.hub2.org. So let me come over here. I did generated one already. So let me see. There are a couple of, okay. So I'm going to modify this. So this is called, I already generated one here. So you're going to specify set SPN hyphen A. Some people use hyphen S. It's more secure, that's fine. But it's hyphen A and then Postgres. And then here I need to specify the host where Postgres is running, right? Which is Ldap Postgres at hub2.org. Then I specify the RAM and then the user, right? The way this RAM was created, I'm just going to do it the way it was. And then I'm going to specify Benson Postgres, which is the admin user, which I created in Ldap, right? And I'm going to hit enter. Then you're going to receive this message updating object and all of that. So we're going to run um, almost same thing again, but this time around we're going to specify here host. Enter, updating. So if we do something like set SPN L here, right, you will be able to see what we just generated there. Okay, so these are the service principals we just generated there. All right. Okay, then there's another one which I want to edit now, which will be the actual which will actually generate the key tab file. And don't bother about this RAM. I'm seeing me editing like this. Sometimes it depends on the actual company setup, how the Ldap was set up. Okay, so I'm just trying to maintain here using the same way Ldap was set up. So the map user here is gonna be Benson Postgres, right? And then the password. This is how I specify my password. Postgres at 1.2. That's what I specify my password. And then the out. How we're going to specify this key tab file. So I will call this key tab file Benson Postgres key tab. So let me just make sure, it has to end with that key tab. You can specify the name of the key tab file to be anything. It must not be Benson. Okay, let me just key. Let me just say Benson key. All right. So again, it can be anything that you want, but just making it simple here. So you need to cross-verify to make sure that everything is okay here using the KT parse, and then map user, it's all right. The password there is good and everything is fine. Then you hit enter. And then there's something you need to make sure. You need to make sure you see successful, output key tab to this. So this is going to be your key tab output, right? This is a key tab file that has been written, you know. And then if you have any errors here, just make sure you know you redo it. Okay. All right. So again, we can go ahead and verify our file. So if I list this directory here, I should be able to see the file, which is Benson key. Right? This is a file I just generated. So what I'm going to do is I need to move this key file over to my Postgres server. So how am I going to do that? So I'm just going to use WinSCP to connect over to that server. So remember it was Ldap Postgres, right? .hub2.org, right? And I'm going to connect to that server as root. I know the password. You might use any other user you want. That's defined. Let me try to connect. Oh, looks like it's refusing to connect. The password is okay. Connection denied. It's not connecting to. Okay, let me jump over here and see what's going on. So over here, let me see as I'm as root here. Let me see if I can. Maybe this password needed to be changed. Okay, password updated. Let me test that again. Let's see what's going on. The password, enter. I don't think it's a password. What I'm suspecting here is it might be something to do with SSH. Okay, let me see. Let me see if I have service status service SSH status. I have SSH running. Yeah, but let me test from this server if I can actually do SSH. Let me do SSH. Let me do localhost. Let me just SSH to this localhost to see if it works. Put the password. Okay, exactly. So there's something going on here with Ubuntu here, is that SSH is not working. So what are we going to do here? Let's install OpenSSH. Let me just do apt-get install OpenSSH server. Okay, on this. What does it say? Okay, let's fix the broken stuff here and see. Okay. Yes. Yeah, you might see this thing mostly common with Ubuntu sometimes, but you know, in other systems, I don't think might have that issue. So let's just go ahead and install OpenSSH server, and we'll restart SSH, and then we'll see if that fix our problem. If that fix our problem. Yeah. So this is a live demo, so sometimes you can get cooked up with some stuff. Okay. Now let's see if I restart SSH here. What's going to happen? And we'll look at the status. Okay, something is. Let's see if that local host will work. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, it's not still working. All right, let's do something else. Let's open up that SSH file. I think it should be under SSH and see what is going on. SSHD conf. Let me see here what we can do here. It's gonna be on port 22. Yes, it's port 22. Yeah. What else? Click see here. Permit root login. Hmm. Let me do this. Let me copy this here. Permit root login. I'm gonna say yes. Let me see. And just want to test to see if this fix our problem. Permit empty password. No. Ignore that. Blah, 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 no. Okay. Allow forwarding. No, no. Okay, let's save this. Let's see. Okay, let's me restart this guy again. Let me see the status. Let me try my local SSH now. Okay, looks like it works now. Okay, now we are good now. Okay, let me exit. All right. Yeah, sometimes you might have this issue of connecting to Ubuntu. Just some of the things to check out for. All right. So let's go back to our Windows 7 now, and let's put in our password, and we should be able to gain connection. Okay, let me restart the connection. Okay, now we're connected. Perfect. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put that file inside the data directory, right? And again, you know where the data directory is. This is our Postgres server here. If I log back in as Enterprise DB, if I run PS SQL, if I say show data directory, sorry, show data directory, that is in valid edb AS13 data. Okay, so let me go back here. So I've already put var here. So var lib edb AS13 data. All right. So I'm going to copy this file, Benson key from here, and I'm going to push it over here. All right. I see the file there. Okay, good. So now I'm good with, uh, so if you could see here, this is my data directory here. All right. So if I list, you could see here that this is my file. But the problem here is this file is owned by root, which is not supposed to be. And the permission here is not good as well. So you need to make sure you change this permission to, because what we see here is actually what this is 644, but it's supposed to be 600. So and then you have to change this to Enterprise DB. So let's do that quick. So let's exit here as root. And let's give enterprise DB that change, that file. So it's gonna be Benson keypad. So we've granted it that, and we might also want to change the ownership of that file, which is permissions on that file to be 600. Right, 0600, which is fine. So let's log back in as enterprise DB. Okay. Okay, now we could see that our Kita file has been changed to enterprise DB and we have the correct permissions, which is 600. So you just need to make sure you keep that in mind and change that. Okay. So the next thing we have to do here is to make sure that we add this key tab file over here to our server, to our PostgreSQL, to a PostgreSQL configuration. So let me open up PostgreSQL.conf file. And there is a file which is called KRB. Okay, here it is, this parameter here, KRB. You need to specify that file here. Okay. So if you put that, if you kept the file in a different location, it's good to just mention the location where you have the file. So mine is in, okay. So just mention the location where that file is if it's not in the data directory. Right? So I specify that. So that's fine there. I'm just going to save this file and exit. So after saving that file, you need to restart. Okay. So I'm just going to run system ctr restart edbs and service. Okay. So now we log back in as Postgres and I can do show. I think it's a KRB. What is that? Okay, so it's KRB. So this is KRB server. Okay, so you could see that everything's applied successfully. Okay, now um, let's just leave this as it is now and let's go over to our client, that will be connected. And when we talk about configuring the client, you can still make sure if you're going to be using this same server to connect, you can all the configuration we're going to do on the client, you can still do it on the Postgres server. If for some reason you want to use the Postgres server to connect, right? You might still do the same here. But let's just consider we have a different client machine that we use to connect. So I'm going to jump over to the client machine. Okay, and this client machine, I'm going to install some packages for Kerberos. All right, some Kerberos packages over here. So I'm gonna run app install KRB5 user, KRB5 hyphen user, a couple of packages. I'm going to install the library of PAM for KRB5, right? KRB5, and I'm going to also install the lead PAM credentials. Create, okay, create so to see. Okay, so my install these three packages. Oh, look like I make a mistake over here. KRB5. So KRB5 user, the palm KRB5, and then the palm creds. Okay. I want to install these packages. And during the installation of these packages, you'll be prompted for a couple of information to provide, which we're going to see. So I'm just going to run this. So yes, I want to install that. Okay, now you see here, it requires, in fact, it asks us for a couple of information about principal. Uh, okay, so what we're going to do here is to put in principal. Right. So by default, Kerberos will use the Kerberos server domain name as the RAM, right? So we're going to put that in here. And for us, it hop to, it's going to be in caps, hop to .org. You press enter, it does a configuration there, and it will still prompt us for a couple of information again. All right. And it does that when it's installing for each of the parameters. So okay. Oh, that's that. It didn't ask us for any other thing. That's weird. Because it was supposed to kind of ask us for some other more information there. Okay, but that's fine. Let's ride on and see exactly what happened here. Okay, and if you do something like kd admin here, okay. Now let's see if we can open up the file which it created, which is krbconf file. You see what it asked us, requested for us, we provided it added into this file. Okay, let's look at something here. I'm gonna get rid of a couple of things here which I don't really need, and all of these are default stuff that came in here, which I'm going to remove. And if you look at the way in which the sample ones are, you see it start with a dot and then the other one with no dot, right? And specifies a RAM. And this is exactly how we're going to do that. Okay, we're going to specify in the same order, right? You can, because you can actually specify multiple domain RAMs here, right? But you know, one starts with a dot and the other next one again the same thing, and the other one starts the same. You know, you need to follow that same order. So just kind of remove this because I will specify uh, mine there, and let me gonna see how to do that right quick. Okay, so our RAM that we have is the hop2, so we're gonna say the hop2, right? And .hop2.org, and we're gonna say equals to the same way we had the other one. Okay, then we're gonna put hop2, you know, the same way we saw how it was before, .hop2.org, and we will repeat this same thing here, right? Onto another over here, same like this. Okay, so that is how it's going to be. And then over here we have a RAM, as you could see here, but we need to delete all of this. You can have multiple RAMs, so these are just default. So we're just gonna delete all of these, and we're going to specify as here. Okay, and I'll show you how we can do that. This is exactly where we need to make sure we provide, you know. Okay, so I'm going to provide that. you see the way one is, right? So you might need to might leave one of those and then edit them. Edit that one, right? So you might want to have in the same order. So you see you can have multiple, but we in that case we have one. Okay. So we're just gonna leave this one the way it is, and we're gonna edit this one to suit our need. Okay. So this is we're gonna specify here for us, which is gonna be hop2.org at KDC, and the KDC here is Kerberos domain controller. So we will use the actual server name. Okay, so if I want to cut here, cut /etc slash host. So I'm gonna pick, this is where I have my server running. So I will put that in here, and I'll do the same thing over here. Right? Okay, next thing is I don't really need this parameter though. I'm gonna go up, and I'll leave everything the way it is, and then I'll save this file here. Okay, now that I have that file in there, I might want to test to make sure that I can connect. Remember, we created the user called Benson Postgres over there. So what we're going to do here is you can actually run a file called kinit, right? Kinit, and then I'm going to specify Benson Postgres, right? And you see here by automatically it tries to go directly to that realm, right, that we created. Then I'm going to specify the password for that user. Okay. If it doesn't return you any result, then that's fine. That means you're able to obtain your ticket. And again, Kerberos authentication is all about ticket, right? It's all about tickets with a specified timestamp. So you authenticate to the Kerberos server, to the KDC, obtain your TGT, which is your ticket granting ticket, and you use that ticket granting ticket to obtain your service, your service principal, which you use to access your server. So you run a command now called klist. Klist will show you here that okay, I obtained my TGT, my Kerberos ticket granting ticket, and I will use this ticket granting ticket to obtain my service ticket. And again, Kerberos authentication, which is encrypted, it's you know, if you want to deep dive into how it really is, the internals of it, um, you can look that up. So now I've obtained my ticket here. You could see here that it's been cached, right? That's one of the key things. So now I'm able to authenticate to the Kerberos server. So what I've just done there is establishing a connection. Oops, what's this? So what I've just done there is establishing a connection to the Kerberos server, the Windows server from Linux, right? So if I want to destroy these credentials here, I can just run my kdestroy. I can just run kdestroy -a. It destroyed. So if I do klist now, I don't see any credentials. So it says no credentials cache has been found. Okay, let's write on. So now we're able to get the Ubuntu client here running. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to hop up to our Postgres server and do one more important step. And what we're going to do there is we're going to edit the PostgreSQL.com file. Sorry, the pghpa.com file. So let me log into this server. So back into this server here, you see me, I just type data here to log into here is because I created an alias. Okay, so just I create an alias. So right here, if we see here, these are data directory. So I'm going to open up the PGHBS server, PGHBS. And again, note the reason why we're using post from Postgres 12 and above is because it supports this generic security service, right? Because when you're using it now with the Kerberos there, and again, there's something I forgot to show you is that you can, anyway, I'll show you that later on. Again, this support GSS API, right, which is a generic security service application programmable interface. So from Postgres 12 and above, it supports this GSS, right? So you can use GSS, or you can say no GSS, right? But from Postgres um, 11 and below, it doesn't support this authentication method here. It doesn't support this. It will support only these three: SSL, secure socket layer, and host. So, and forget about this. This is a connection I did in the earlier video, which we're gonna get rid of this. This was still using Ldap, but for open Ldap on Linux. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use that authentication mechanism, which is host GSSENC, and we're going to leave it all there. And you might want, if you want to say let it come from everywhere, that is still fine. Or if you want to specify the actual IP range, you can specify the IP range. That is still up to you. And then this stands for the database and user. If you want to for specific users, you can do it for specific users as well. This is just a demo here. So we're going to specify our generic security service here, and then we will also specify that include RAM. And then note that we did already created. We have a RAM, so we're going to say yes. One stand for yes, include RAM. And then we're going to specify the KRB RAM, and our KRB RAM is what is hop2, right? It's going to be hop2.org. So this is just basics of how you can use that. So we're going to specify it like that. So it means that all the users should come from this RAM, right? Should require to connect from that RAM. So I'm going to save this now, and I'm going to go on to Postgres, and again, one other thing is, um, since we've done that, let's just reload this server. Okay, so I've reloaded the server, so everything should be fine there now. And then now, how do we connect? How do we establish connection now to the server? Okay. The first way to establish connection to that server is let's go ahead and create a user. Right? Let's create a user. Let's say let's create a user called, and again I have to create a user that already is in Ldap, the Benton Postgres in Ldap. So I'm going to say create user, and then I'm going to specify Benson Postgres, and you need to create it with a RAM, okay, which is going to be hop2.org. I'm just going to make it to be a super user. That's it. Note here that I've created the user without a password. Right? There's no password here. Now, where would the password come from? The password will come from my Ldap, which is in Windows. So when this server tries to connect, what will happen is that this user would first authenticate in Windows, right, to obtain those credentials before connecting here, right? So let's test that connection now. Let's go over to our Ubuntu server there. Let me log in back to our client server and let's test that connection. And again, you must need to make sure that you have a client, a PSQL client, right? In this case, I have a PSQL client here, and I think this is a version 13. Okay, so we're going to use PSQL, and you will specify the. So we're connecting to Ldap Postgres, and that is where Postgres is running. So we're connecting to our Postgres server. But note that even though we're connecting to Postgres, this authentication needs to be established from Ldap. Okay, so I'm going to specify -h, and then I'm going to specify the port, which is 544. Let me just specify the database, and then I'm going to specify my user. And let me just run that. Benson Postgres add hop2.org. Now, if I run this, I'm expecting it to actually fail. So you see here it says no HB entry for that user. Um, there's actually an entry. The thing is, it's not reading the credentials there. Let me see. Yes, because we did provided all users to be able to connect. Yeah, we did provided that. All right. I'm just gonna cut this one. So you see here that we have this host as JSN. So we should be able to connect. But first, let's resolve the issues that we have here. The thing here is that you need to obtain first your TGT, your service ticket, your service ticket to get authentication. So first and foremost, you need to get authenticated from Ldap. And to do that, you need to run the kinit command. I'm going to run kinit Benson Postgres. If you want to put the RAM name, that's fine. You can still put the RAM hop2.org. That's still fine. But you don't want to put it, it will still pick it up because we configured that on the KRB file. So if I hit enter, it's going to ask me for the password. And this password it's going to encrypt the password. It's going to sort the password here. Right. So it's going to confirm if this user is actually in the Ldap database. So let me put the password. Okay, now that means I've obtained my TGT. If I do KList, I should be able to see. And again, note that um, they all have expiring dates. Okay, so some expire after 24 hours, but you can always set them. So it's all based on tickets and validity. So now that I've obtained it, now I can attempt the connection using this command. So if I run this now, you see I'm connected, right? So this is how you establish a connection. You see here it shows GSSPI encrypted connection, which is very, very important. This is encrypted connection. So you can always check that, right? You can check the PG start GSSPI, right? There is this if I describe this PG underscore start underscore GSSAPI, right? So you can actually select this and now just see, is it encrypted, to check if it's actually encrypted, right? So we can select that to check. So I'm just going to run select PID, right? Select this PID, G authenticated, encrypted, select principal from PG start, PGIP, right? Where PID backend. So it's going to look for the backend ID of this connection here, right? So boom, you see that? So it says that my connection is encrypted, really secure. It's true. It's GSS authenticated. It's true. It's encrypted. Yes, and this is my printable. So this is how you can establish a connection using. And now this connection is is going um, uh, through Ldap, right? It's going through Ldap in Windows before being established here, all right? Because even if you create a user, for example, let's just go over here in Postgres here. Let me connect from the backend here, and let me try to create a user here. And let me say I'm creating a user here called okay, I'm just gonna call this user Yerima. Right? Now this user Yerima I've created here. I can't log in as this user. Right? Let's go back to a client and let's try to log in as that user. If I come here and I try to log in as that user, look at what is going to happen here is it's going to refuse. It's going to tell me that, hey, no HBA entry, blah, 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 blah. But the actual error is that the GS authentication failed for this user, right? So it can't be authenticated using GSSPI, right? So it fails. And again, even though I have this user in the Postgres server, I need to create this user in Ldap, right? So if I hop over to my Ldap server here, right quick, uh, so if I hop over to my Ldap server, let me log in here. So this is my Ldap server. If I attempt to create a user here, so I'm just gonna do the same thing here. I'm just gonna create a user called Yerima. I'm gonna now create that user in the Ldap server here. All right, I'm gonna take next. Never pass or never expire. This is just my box, okay? My password, and I'm gonna create password. Take next and done. So I have the user now here in Ldap. So if I hop over to my client now and try to establish a connection again, it's still going to give me the same error. Now, why is it doing this? I have the user in my Postgres server. I also have the user in Ldap, but I can't still connect. I cannot connect. Why? The reason is because you cannot use the ticket granting ticket of another user to establish a connection. You must request your own TGT from the KDC. Okay. So in this case now, you will see here that if I do klist, I have tickets here and look at it. As I explained before, this is a principal, right? This is Benson Postgres here. So I obtain my TGT and I use that TGT to obtain the service principal to connect to my server, right? All these are credentials cached by Benson. So I cannot use these credentials to run a command to establish a connection as a different user. So I need to obtain mine. So I need to clear this cache first. And to clear this cache, as I told you guys, I'm going to use kdestroy minus A is destroyed. If I run klist now, I cannot see anyone. So I need to obtain mine for that user. Okay. So and I can do kinit Yerima now. Then right now what it's doing, it's redirecting me to the Ldap server. So and it redirects me to the Ldap server. I need to put my password Ldap. Okay. Now I've obtained mine. So if I do klist now, right, I'll see that I've obtained my TGT. So now let me test my connection now to the server using this. See, now I'm able to connect. So that's exactly how uh, connection using Kerberos does works. And again, one last thing I want to show you here from here is you can like take for example this user I created Yerima. You can make sure that this user uses, even though the connection, yes, the connection is secure, right? You can go on the account and you can actually make tick this box that it should use, it should support Kerberos blah 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 encryption, which it already does, but just add a security if you want. you can do that, and then you can apply it, right? That's defined. Okay. So that's all about it. All right. So now it's fine. All the connection, everything is looking okay. It's all encrypted. It's fine. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this, and shoot me up if you have any questions. Thank you. Bye bye.